Welcome to the Thrive Careers Podcast, the show that helps you move your career confusion to career success, hosted by the extraordinary Olajumoke Fatoki. Each episode is packed with expert insights, real-life stories, and practical strategies to help you land your dream job, level up, and build a career you love. No more guesswork, just clear, actionable steps to help you thrive. If you're ready, let's jump right into it.
Before we just go or delve into what we have today, I'd like for you to briefly introduce yourself so that our audience can get to meet you. So over to you.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Urmi. I am a corporate professional by day. I work full-time in the finance world. And by the evening, I am a creative soul. So I do different things. I'm a blogger, YouTuber, podcaster. I'm a big advocate of women's empowerment. I am the co-chair for the Montreal chapter of the organization Women in Leadership. I am also a female mentor. So I am part of an organization called Dress for Success, which is based in Montreal. And besides that, I do like reading thriller books. I do like doing boxing, and I'm very much into self-growth. Indeed, I'm part of the Toastmasters Club where I get to practice my public speaking skills.
Such an amazing profile.
Thank
back
you.
in the day, people would say jack of all trade, master of none, but I guess times are really changing because I see, especially for women, we just wear a lot of hats and we tend to do these things very effectively. I mean, look at the amount of things you've been able to express that you're doing, and you're doing them very efficiently and very fantastically, because I've also gone through your profile and, I'm amazed at the quality of work that you do. So thank you very much for joining us on the Thrive Careers podcast today. I'm really excited for our conversation. So just before we get started, I'd like to ask you, you mentioned something that you also do in 9 to 5 and you're able to juggle that with all of this many other things that you do. How are you able to, do all of those things?
So I think I'm very passionate in general. So
Wow.
my passion has been my main driver. And I think that I always have this inner drive that I want to do all these things. So I get instantly very much motivated. And for me to all of these things, I do have to make sure that I am quite organized, and have to make sure that I do follow my to-do list. And let me tell you this, I do have my Google Calendar, which I use religiously. I have to make sure that my week is pretty much spread out for the whole week, so I know what I'm doing each day. But I also put a boundary in between, meaning that, yes, I do have my 9 to 5, but then I also have my 5 to 9, which I need to basically nurture my soul, my body, my mind. And so as soon as I'm done with work, the next thing I do is, okay, let me see what I have to do for today. And I make sure that I do one thing a day rather than doing everything in one day.
Amazing. 2 things jumped out at me from what you just said: organizational skills, time management. That is really showing forth in how you're able to juggle these different things and the very many hats that you wear. And you also spoke on a particular tool that a lot of people tend to overlook, but it's a lifesaver, and that's the Google Calendar, and how it can actually help you to organize your day. Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from that. All right, so let's get into our core conversation today. Again, it's an interesting background, and I'm just wondering, let's take you a little bit back to the beginning. So, what's that moment from your personal or professional journey that shaped you into the professional or the wonderful personality that you have today?
I would say I definitely took time to learn myself, and I definitely took time to reflect on myself and what I wanted from life in general. And I think that when it comes to my professional life, it was pretty clear what I wanted to do from the beginnings. Like, I just wanted to take my path towards finance. And I know that I wanted to invest in myself and develop myself from a professional point of view, which is why I continued further studies even after I got my bachelor degree. But when it comes to my personal life, this is where I got, I think, more of my growth, my tremendous growth, because I allowed myself to follow my curiosity, but also to follow my fear, because I think as human beings, but also me in general, like we all always tend to be scared of trying new things. But I took a different mindset when it came to trying these new things. I was like, you know what? I would see this more like a trial and error. It's an opportunity for me to explore different things, to discover different things, and to see if I can find what I like or what I don't like. And I think by doing all this trial and error, finding out what I like and what I don't like, I was able to narrow it down. And I think it gave me a little bit of more clear path of what I wanted to pursue in my personal life. So all these things that I do that I mentioned at the beginning, all these different hats that I wear, they all come from trial and errors.
Amazing. But what was that pivotal moment for you that you knew for sure this is what you wanted to do?
I don't know if there was one instant. I think it was an accumulation of different things. I think one day I woke up and then because I watch a lot of TED Talks, I get inspired by other women. And I told myself, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'm just going to jump on this. So it just happened 5 years ago that I, you know, took the leap and just jumped on the different opportunities. So I would say that my transformation happened really, really 5, 6 years ago. And it was an accumulation of different things. And I was like, yeah, that's it. This is what I'm gonna do. And I just kept growing from there.
All right. And speaking about hats, my very next question, is just very much aligned with what we've just discussed. So you wear many hats. You're a finance professional. I remember at some point, I used to have a lot of friends who were sitting for the CFA exam. So I have a little bit
Uh-huh.
of understanding of what that terrain feels like, how tough, it is to pass that exam, you know, and you've been able to blast that. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So you wear the
Thank
hat
you.
of a finance professional, you're a speaker, you're an author, and you also mentor young people. Back to my question, how do you find the courage to show up fully in all of these spaces and in all of these hats that you wear?
So one thing that I always think about when I think about my different hats is that I stay consistent and authentic. So basically, no matter what I'm wearing, I have to make sure that I always show myself as Urmi
Hmm.
and not as someone else. And for me, that's important, that whole consistency, because I think that no matter what the settings are or the circumstances are, I have to be myself no matter what. And that is related to my personal brand as well, right? Like when you are building something, when you're working on yourself, when you're showing up yourself to the world, you want to make sure that it's always consistent with the image that you're trying to portray and how you want people to be perceived. And so, like when I'm wearing the hat of a mentor, or when I am, let's say, the finance professional, or when I'm a YouTuber, like I always make sure that you see my authentic self, and that's very, very important for me, because I always say, like, no matter what I go, I will always have myself, and I want to make sure that everyone who sees me as my truest self. So yeah.
That's amazing. And that's one thing that everyone looks for today, that authenticity, and being able to be yourself, in the midst of whatever it is that you're doing. So that's a big one. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. But narrowing down a little
Thank
bit
you.
more into one of the things that you do effortlessly, which is public speaking. And I know for sure that that area is one area that a lot of people tend to have challenges with. It's not easy to speak up, to stand in front of a crowd and just own your voice and just get your message
Yeah.
out there. So my question is, what role has public speaking played in your personal growth and in your journey so far?
Plays a big role in my personal growth and also in my professional growth, if I have to tell you the
Mm-hmm.
truth. Because when I decided to basically step out of my comfort zone and to basically join Toastmasters, I knew that this was going to be a big, big struggle. Because, like, I remember I went to my first Toastmasters meeting, and for those who are not familiar with this basic organization, it's a nonprofit organization where you get to practice your public speaking skills. I remember I told myself that no matter how scary it might feel and no matter how nervous I feel about this, I'm just gonna go. and make myself a fool, but I will still stick to this. And I'm so glad I made that decision because it was hard. It's still hard. It's not supposed to be easy because otherwise everyone would do it. And after that, I saw all those opportunities that they came into my life. So I was able to basically, of course, work on my communication skills, be a better speaker, but I saw how this was having a consequence in my life, meaning that people were contacted me to be on their podcast, people were contacted me to give webinars, they were contacted me to be a host. I was even contacted to basically be part of a panel session for the CFA conference
Amazing.
this year. And it continues. Like I just keep getting contacted to give workshop or even, deliver more webinars, to speak and do roundtables with other women. It has been like a transformational journey for me. Like I feel like I'm much more confident, and I feel like, for someone who never spoke up and who would always be very reserved and will keep things for herself, I feel like finally I'm not scared to tell what's going on, and I'm not scared to speak up and speak for other people. So it really helped me a lot from a professional point of view, but also personal point of view, because Toastmaster is not just about public speaking. It's also about being a better communicator, which we need on our day-to-day basis, like it's not just, to sell something. It's to speak with a potential client, to speak with you, for instance, to speak with a friend, to speak with your partner. So it has been so, so helpful.
That's so powerful. So, so powerful. Thank you. And I think I have a follow-up question to that. And it's just basically, so what advice would you give, to people who will be listening to this episode? That secret code, if I can call it that, for people to overcome their nerves when it comes to public speaking.
So let me tell you this. My first advice would always be start small. I think when we think about overcoming our fear, we think, okay, I'm just going to go and deliver a speech and I'm going to speak in a conference. No, 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 no. This could start just by taking a small step. And that small step could be like raising your hand in your office and be like, okay, I wanna speak in a meeting. It could start as small as that. And it doesn't have to be, a major step or nothing big. And then you build upon that. So that's one thing I would definitely suggest. The other thing is definitely to go to Toastmasters. And why I'm telling you this, and I'm not saying this because I'm promoting Toastmasters, but I
Okay.
do believe I do believe in its power. And the thing is that at Toastmasters, you are in a room full of people. You do not know these people. You do not know them, but they're there to support you and they give you feedback based on what you say. And they put you on the spot right from the first meeting. And right there, you already see your level of public speaking and you get feedback from strangers. And when you go there, you're feeling nervous, but you do not know any of these people. So even if like you don't stay there, like no one will judge you, like you will be there one day, they will judge, like they will say something to you, they will give you feedback, but you're not building a relationship with them unless you stay there. So Toastmaster is definitely a good place to basically start your public speaking journey. So those are my two tips.
Absolutely amazing and very helpful too. I've heard a lot about Toastmasters, so I completely agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about leadership. What does leadership mean to you?
So for me, leadership means it means a lot of things. And when I think about leadership, there are so many words that come to my mind. Like I think about charisma, I think about being an influencer, I think about being a motivator, I think about, empowering others. And that's what leadership really means to me. It's about really empowering other people, celebrating other people, but doing it as a group and not taking credit for it. Because I often think that we often mistake the word leadership with management. I think that we think that every single manager is a leader, but it does not work like that, to be honest. And I think that every person has some leadership skills. And I think it's always related to the fact that you as a leader, you want to lead by example. And that's why I joined Women in Leadership organization, because my job was really to represent, women that are similar to me, women of color, women who are not well represented, especially when it comes to leadership positions. We don't see that diversity that we want to see. We don't see that many women in leadership position. And I think what's the cause behind this is that a lot of the times, a lot of our needs are not being addressed, because we go through certain struggles as women. We go through certain struggles as women of color. And this is why I joined Women in Leadership, because I wanted to be that person driving the change and making changes that are necessary to make our lives as women better. And so in Women in Leadership, we do different things. We do have a mentorship program. We do have a leadership development program. And in the Montreal chapter, it was dormant for a bit. And now basically we have a new team. So I'm the co-chair. I have another person who's also the co-chair. We have the social media person. We have the mentorship lead person. And basically the job is really to provide the tools such as webinars, in-person events, so that the women in the community can feel also empowered.
And you made a very clear distinction in your definition of leadership, which I think is very important to call out. The fact that when a person occupies a management position doesn't necessarily mean that they are leaders. That's a very clear distinction. And thanks for calling that out. Thank you very much. All right. So moving on, you often speak about personal branding, and that again has shone through in our conversation today. So how would you define personal branding? And just to put this out there, I feel like that's one word that has been thrown around a lot lately and has a lot of interpretations, but I'm happy to hear your thoughts.
Hi, my name's Naomi, and I'm the host of the Notes and Quotes podcast, a space for casual and honest conversations about everything facing young adults today. From mental health struggles to figuring out your future to navigating the climate and social justice crisis of our world. These things should not be faced alone. Come hear me share vulnerable self-reflections, realizations, and eye-opening conversations with incredible guests. This is a community by one 20-something for every 20-something. Can't wait to have you join.
So personal branding means basically, according to me, but I think it's also the definition that it's mostly used is it's basically when people talk about you when you are not in a room full of people. That's when you know that you have built a good personal brand. So maybe let's say there is an event and people are thinking about something, or they're talking about a specific topic, and that person is thinking about you, even though you're not sitting in that room. And so that means that you have created a certain brand around your identity. So for instance, I'm just going to give you a quick example. So let's say that, I don't know, all of your friends are in a conference about women in leadership or women's empowerment. And they're talking about, we need someone who can lead a group. And suddenly your friends are having a conversation and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I wish Urmi was here to hear this, because I think she would be truly fit for this. So this is personal branding, meaning that you as a person like me, I have took the time to work on on building, my personal brand about women in leadership, women's empowerment, and people think about me even though I'm not in that room. So it's basically how people perceive you when you are not with them. So it's all about your identity, what you're able to offer, the values that you stand for, the talent that you have, and basically creating a positive image. And often we think about personal branding as something like we need someone to sell something. But you don't need to sell a product or a service. Like, it could be you as a person, what you stand for. Right? So that's pretty much what personal branding is all about.
That's amazing. And I have never heard that definition before. Like I said, that's one word I've been thrown around a lot, but I think I really like that because it's very practical. What people say about you when you're not in the room, I mean, it's just powerful, and it's very sticky. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you touched on my next question while responding to that, which is about identity. And pardon me ahead if I mess up the pronunciation of this. But talking about identity, how has being an Italian Bengali shaped your voice, your confidence, and how you navigate the workplace and this creative space that you're occupying so effortlessly?
So let me tell you this. I had to work really hard in finding my cultural identity, meaning that I really struggled because I grew up between two cultures, the Italian culture and the Bengali culture. So I am Italian by birth and Bengali by blood. And every time I always felt like I was not in the right place. Like, I felt like I did not fit in. I feel like I was pulled in one way or another, depending on who I had around me. So let's say I was with my Italian friends, they would be like, oh, but you're Italian. And when I was with my Bengali people, they would be like, no, but you're Bengali. But I never quite agreed with anyone because I was like, I'm not either or. You know what I mean? Like I'm both. And I needed really to work on that to find that about me, if I'm truly both or not. And so when I moved to Canada, of course, that was a big issue for me because people would ask me, where are you from? And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like I would give them an answer and they were never happy about it. And when I finally started to work on myself and come up with this answer, which is I am Italian Bengali rather than just being only Italian or only Bengali, when I started to embrace both cultures and embrace the beauty of both cultures, I feel like I was finally much more confident about me as an individual, which led me to embark on all these other adventures that I have done so far. But I really needed that conviction about my identity because I think it's important that we find out who we are as a person before we start doing things, because then I feel like everything is like out of place. It's not consistent. It doesn't go with you as an individual, right? Like you want to make sure that you show yourself as your authentic self, which is the same recurring theme that we've been talking about. But for me, finding my identity has helped me to understand myself. And as soon as I got that conviction, I feel like it was just translated into confidence, like showing up as my most confident self at work, when I'm presenting myself to people, when I'm doing all these things outside of my 9 to 5. And I want other people to feel the same way as well, because I think sometimes we don't take time to understand us as individuals.
I have a very critical question, at this topic that you've just touched on or that we are on right now. As you can imagine, it's a topic that is both relevant to you and to me. And, I see a lot of immigrants struggling, with this particular topic of identity and being able to fit into the Canadian workforce. And as you can imagine, this
Yeah.
is Thrive Careers podcast. That's one of strengths or the pillars of this podcast, helping immigrants own their career journey. So what advice would you have, for immigrants who are going through this stage or navigating this phase of their career?
Okay, so there are two things that I would tell you. One, you have to find people that are similar to you. That's very, very important. And when I say that, I say about finding community of people that have maybe your same cultural background or maybe went through your same struggles when it comes to like identity or finding your cultural identity or having a space in the community or even at a workplace. And the second thing, which is also one thing that I do, is to find a mentor. But again, the mentor has to be similar to you, meaning that it has to be a mentor of color, maybe a mentor who came from your same country, maybe a mentor who's working in your same industry. And that's one thing that I do. Like I mentor a woman of color, and I feel like we understand each other better. We understand the struggle that we went through. And I feel like when you find people that are similar to you, you're able to share advice better because it's more tailored to what you went through and what they are going through. So those would be my two advice: to find community of people similar to you and to find mentors who are very similar to you. And the good thing about workplace is that a lot of the times, a lot of these places, they do have a mentorship program. They do have it, and you can, be paired out with someone who's similar to you, but you can also do, like, if there's someone who you look up to and maybe that person is not necessarily your mentor, you can just simply like send a quick message and be like, okay, would you like to have a quick coffee chat? I see you as an inspiration. I see that you're doing all of these things. And I'm pretty sure the person would be more than happy and open to have a conversation. And use that quick coffee chat as a way to like ask questions and to understand also how they navigated that, that path and how they were able to establish a career in a certain industry. But again, it doesn't have to be necessarily your mentor. It could be also someone that you look up to who maybe went through your same struggles as well.
That's amazing and very practical. Thank you. And, just to add, I've seen the power of coffee chats in my own career. So, yes, I completely agree with you. They can be real game changers. So, yeah, actually recommended. Yeah. All right. Thank you. You clearly do a lot, like we have said over and over in this conversation today. My one question to you is, what keeps you grounded?
That's such a and when I said that should be an easy question, but I don't find it easy. I don't know. I would say just the joy of doing things. I just honestly I go to sleep and I'm like I cannot wait to wake up and do my things. So the fact that I'm able to see the progression of my works, even though it's like a little bit every day, I just feel so motivated and I love seeing the impact that I make. I love inspiring people. I love having this like little, connections with people and I see the people are happy when I help them. So I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna keep doing whatever I'm doing.
Amazing. And I love, 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 love it, because that for me sounds like fulfillment. You have that sense, that deep
Yeah.
sense of fulfillment, by doing what you're doing. And that keeps you going in spite of and regardless. So that's fantastic. Thank you. All right. So now let's talk about, your advice to the younger ones. Or let's just put it this way. Imagine that you're speaking to a younger version of yourself. Think of that stage in your
Hmm.
life. And the question is,
Yeah.
what would you tell her about growth, courage, and finding her voice?
Growth, courage, and finding her voice.
A younger version of yourself.
So when it comes to growth, I would definitely tell my younger self that growth is a beautiful journey, no matter how long it takes to reach your destination. And as you grow, you will have newer destinations because you will discover yourself. Then you said courage. So when it comes to courage, I would tell my younger self that you should see fear as a step to reach your courage and to basically never be afraid of anything, no matter what the results are. And to see fear as your friend and not your enemy. Finding your voice, I would say that it's something that comes with baby steps. It's something that will be built on, but you have to start, from a young age to speak up, which is something that I've never done enough or never done actually. So I've spoken more when I was not happy with things, when I just kept things for myself because I thought that that was the right thing to do. But it's something that takes baby step and you have to do from a young age.
Amazing. Amazing. And the first one, stood out for me. The fact that growth is a journey. Unlike most people thinking it's a destination, it's a journey. Like it's an ongoing process. You get to some point, it's like you got
Hmm.
there, you realize it's actually the stepping stone to the next one and then the next one. So I really love that you gave that definition and that powerful word of advice. Thank you. All right, so we're getting
Thank
to the
you.
end of this conversation, and one of our favorite questions that we like to ask on this podcast is, what does a thriving career mean to you?
A thriving
Yes.
career. A thriving career, it's a career where you can grow personally, where you feel you're most happy, and where you can be your true self. And why I'm telling you this, it's because I feel like a lot of the times when we are working, we are performing a role, but we're unhappy with the role. And I think it's important to especially because we spend so much time at work, that you find joy even in your day to day. And that comes with learning, which is related to to the personal growth. And I think it's important to speak up as well, that if you want to work on something, if you want to get a training, if you want to do a certification, if you want to do a certain project, that you speak up, because that's one way that you can find fulfillment even in your day to day. And once you grow, from that point of view, you also grow from a personal point of view as well. So that's what a thriving career means
And that
to
is
me.
so amazing. I love the way you were able to weave in happiness into it, because work is where we
Yeah.
spend the most part of our time. So if you're in a career that makes you sad or doing what doesn't make you happy, then you're already, cutting your life short. So thank you very much for that
Yeah.
input. Finally, we've arrived at the last question.
Yeah.
So, and this is pretty much all about you. I know that you've shared so much on this episode today, and I'm sure that our listeners would love to connect with you. So, where can they find you? And or how can they support the work that you do or connect with you further?
I do have a LinkedIn profile. It's called Urmi Hozain. I have a YouTube channel called Urmi Hozain. And I also have a podcast. So if people want to listen to my podcast or find my Instagram page, is called Stories Beyond Borders Podcast, which is available on Apple and Spotify. And of course, I have an Instagram account. And if people want to purchase my book, it's available on Amazon and it's called Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Intuition Struggle.
How powerful. Thank you very much for being on this episode of the Thrive Careers podcast. Everything you shared are very relatable and very spot on to the audience that we speak to. So it's been amazing speaking with you. If you have a final word to share as you go, this is the last one. What would it be for our audience today as we wrap up?
Especially because we're talking about career, my advice would be don't ever let anyone to define your own success. You define your success in life and at work.
Amazing. And I love it. Thank you very much. There's no better way to end this episode than on that note. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that you'll join us again, or maybe it'll be the other way around. I would be on your podcast.
Yeah, who knows?
Amazing. All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and see you next time. And that's it for today's episode of Thrive Careers Podcast. I am Olajumoke Fatoki, reminding you that no matter where you are in your career, you have the power to rewrite your story. If you've enjoyed today's insights, do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to thrive. If you have questions or topics you'd like for me to cover, let's connect. I would love to hear from you. Remember, clarity creates confidence, and confidence leads to success. And until I come your way again next time, stay inspired and keep thriving.